Hello. Hello, welcome to Everyday Ordinary Extraordinary Men. I'm Martina and I'm here with Christina, and we are your podcast hosts. And we are deep divers and avid students of life and powerful facilitators for healing. In real life, I'm a life coach specializing in parent and women empowerment, and I'm also a sound healer.
And I'm an intuitive healer who loves to blend massage therapy and energy work to provide customized services for my clients. Martina and I both love to work with crystals, essential oils, angelic Reiki, intuitive guidance, and oracle decks.
So let me tell you about the context. Most humans have a lot of preconceived notions and stereotypes about gender. For example, men are tough and silent and forceful. Women are chatty, manipulative, and emotional. And in doing that, we put people in a box and often forget to see beyond those labels. And if someone is not fitting the mold, we might call them a tomboy or a sissy, right? And neither of those labels just are nice. They often cause discord. So, what will the world look like where we go beyond our preconceived notions and understand that we are much more than our gender? That we humans are strong and soft and gentle and deep and powerful, tough and fierce, and that opens that qualities are not specific to a gender, that we all have all qualities available to express. What will the world look like where we are free to be who we choose to be and express all of our emotions? When we allow ourselves to express the so called masculine and feminine qualities within ourselves, we set ourselves free. When we allow others to do the same, when we accept all of them, we create synergy, peace, and harmony. And today we're here with Sebastian. So, welcome, Sebastian. Why don't you tell our listeners who you are?
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for welcoming me on here. My name is Sebastian, and I am working as a healer as well as a QiGong teacher. I host spiritual gatherings and events and empowerment trainings online and in person to facilitate well-being, facilitate transformation and activation really of people's life purpose, like what one is here to do to fully also transmute the things that are in the way, the programming that are in the way for us to just be real and be ourselves. So it's an honor to be here with you today. And I could say I was hesitating to share it, but my other name is Sinchi Rimach Didi Törngren. And Sinchi Rimach is the name I received from the Andean tradition. It means the one that speaks with power. So here I am claiming that name now. Some people have laughed at me when I share that name because Sinchirima can also mean the one that speaks a lot. So, and the Inca teacher is like, no, this is like a low level consciousness. When people think of it like that. So, anyways, so then I have my Chinese name and my Swedish name. So this explains my origins, my ancestry, which is that my father's from Sweden, my mother's from China. And yeah, that's essentially it. I live in Sweden half the year and in South America half the year. Since 2 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And, the first time I heard you speak in the group that we're in together, I was blown away by your depth. And that's part of what attracted me to really invite you to come here and have this conversation, to just dive deep together, right? Because that's what
Mm.
Christina and I love doing. And I could feel your depth. So I'm really
Mhm.
excited to have you here. So if we really knew you, what would we know about you?
Ah, you would know that I am you, you are me. You would know that that if you really knew me, you would know that. And you would know that well, that I'm very honest. I I can't really lie because it's kind of a part of some kind of code that I have. And you know, it's not always been that way, but I've realized, you know, in the last years how any kind of lie, whether to oneself or to others, is always a cause of suffering and illusion and just, you know, chaos. So essentially, I'm on a mission to bring order and peace to myself and to in whichever way I can as an extension, the world, and that I'm a part of, that we're all a part of. And so, yeah, for that reason, um, I may, if I lie, it's because I don't know that I'm yeah. Or it is that I make a joke. Like I have very loud laugh and I joke with a lot of sarcasm. So I have really advanced levels of joking. So people don't know that I'm not telling the truth because I'm sharing it very clearly. But it's like something completely absurd. You know, they're like, "Oh, okay." Like, okay. I don't have an example right now, but you know, I could say something really bizarre, and sometimes people believe me because I don't say with the tone. But then I always explain after, so then people could consider a lie. But I always explain after. If people don't get it, I always explain after that it was a joke. So yeah.
Well, since we're laughing, how about you tell us a funny, silly, or embarrassing story about yourself?
Oh, um, hmm. Silly, embarrassing story about myself. I know there are a lot. There's none coming to my mind right now.
That's okay.
But yeah, I'll bring it up if it comes to me. Silly, embarrassing stories.
Well, then let's move on to a different one. What makes you laugh?
Hmm, makes me laugh. Um, hmm. That's an interesting question because laughter can be an expression of different emotions. Can it be an expression of joy, of elation? It can also be expression of scorn. I don't know, like you know, so laughter. Um, so I would ask you to maybe specify the question because you know, I don't normally. Anyway, no, I can answer it. So I don't, I don't laugh to scorn people. That's for sure. Well, I mean, like most people, I laugh when I find things, situations funny, humorous. When somebody does something absurd that when somebody is just being themselves in such a special way that everybody loves it, you know, and you're just like, oh, I love this being, and you just laugh when they say something really funky and funny and characteristics of who they are. And yeah, yeah. I've also been practicing my kind of like Chinese master laugh. So in the Chinese movies, they always laugh like, so I've been practicing that one a
That's
little bit.
brilliant. I love it.
Yeah,
That's like laughing yoga, right? Where you actually really
yeah,
group laugh,
yeah,
right? I think
yeah,
it's brilliant that you say, because laugh can also be a release, right? Or a
yeah.
recognition, or like it has so many facets. For us, it's more like what you know. It's connected to joy. That's the question, right? It's like what brings you so
Yeah,
much joy, that
yeah,
makes you laugh, and that
yeah.
makes you, it's like, yeah,
Mm,
makes you happy
mm.
in a way.
What makes me happy? Yeah, what makes me really happy is I think other people being happy,
Yeah.
and being in harmony. And when somebody does something really loving towards another, or that's really generous, or is really like, oh, this is correct, morally correct. Like this is very, very good, benevolent. And then it's like, yeah, I don't know if I laugh that, but it brings me joy. And so that would say be more connected to tears, almost like, that good sentiment. And yeah, I guess what else brings me joy is being with people I love, friends, being in nature, sharing my medicine, sharing the qigong, sharing ceremony. So, fire ceremony, ceremonial works gives me joy, and songs. So medicine songs is something that I really love. And the song, soul song, it has such a healing potential, and just like music and song and creative expression. Um, I really love that. And I used to do improv theater. I was like part of guiding an improv group, and I was in playback theater training for 1 year, and I really love that. And I did some workshops combining improv with qigong. So like you throw energy balls to each other, and you like, give each other healing, but first you like push each other with the energy, and sensing it. And so like this kind of playful activity that's creative, because an energy healing can also be very creative, then that's like something that also brings me a lot of joy. And especially like seeing and sharing it with other people, and seeing them really get it and really enjoy it.
Mm. And again, like it's play, everything gets a little easier, right? Everything
Yeah.
gets lighter, everything gets, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So, what was your biggest lesson? For example, what was your biggest challenge? What made you who you are today? What took most courage? Or when did you stand up for something that mattered to you?
Yeah, I find that the theme in my life is to take a stand for life, take a stand for hope, and the higher level frequency of trust, or whatever. Um, Not whatever, but trust. So, um, yeah, my first stand for life was when I was, 11 years ago, choosing life over death, in being in the state of complete hopelessness and helplessness and despair, and just immense suffering, and not remembering a single moment in my life where I've been happy, and not feeling like it was possible for me to ever be happy, because there was so much pain and numbness, really not able to feel anything, not able to talk to anybody, because I was so shy and afraid of people, terrified of everything and everybody, that I decided to not kill myself, but actually, instead of jumping off a bridge, choosing life, choosing to do everything in my power to become who I am, to be happy, to do my life's work. Because as a child, I knew I was here as a guide, and then I forgot, and it was completely dark and isolated, and I had felt like I had no friends, and I just wanted to, well, just the relief, and just, because if there's no hope, and if one of your primary caretakers tells you that you're a worthless parasite, then it's like, well, the obvious choice is to just like make this world a better place by leaving this world. Because if you're not contributing, so what I take a stand for today is the contribution to life, and in supporting other people in their contribution to life, because giving a contribution to life, and you are actually life contributing to life. So it's life giving to life. But if you're not doing that, then there will be some level of meaninglessness, and there will be some more suffering. So a great way to alleviate suffering is to find your contribution and to be of service. And that helps to alleviate a lot of suffering and the ego. And this is the reason I'm alive, because like I could choose to yeah, to leave this world. But if I did, it might not even work, first of all. Like I might wake up with all my bones broken in my body and still have the same pain. But also, actually, I received the words from my grandmother, where my Chinese grandmother, she said, like, if you die, I die. So that was just not fair, you know? It's like a little boy struggling so much, and he just so much pain and just tormented and, you know, kind of abused, like seemingly. So, but he's not allowed to free himself of that by taking his life. He has to free himself by claiming his life. And so this is what I take a stand for, and that the events and gatherings that I do and that I encourage and that are inspired through me are all with a purpose of unifying people, um, creating a deep sense of trust and safety, because this is the thing that I struggle with most in my life. I felt my whole childhood I was in a war zone. I just want like I thought everybody wanted to kill me, like, or hated me. And so, like, to find that safety inside, in a group, in community, this is where a lot of healing it becomes possible. And to create the space for that, and then for the contributions to arise within that space.
Mm.
So, the Circle of Life gathering, which we just had here over Midsummer, that's like everybody's invited to bring their gift, to bring their contribution, to bring their medicine. Whether it is music or a workshop or, you know, cooking or something else. Um, yeah, everybody here, I believe, has a, you know, has gifts, has divine potential as well in activating those gifts. Sometimes we hold ourselves back from sharing our gifts because we're told that we shouldn't, you know, do this thing. We should not be, you know, shaman, we should be a doctor or whatever. That's not what I was told, by the way, but like I was very blessed with parents that didn't tell me necessarily what to do, but I did play piano for 10 years, just like all good Chinese kids. And, you know, I was encouraged to do certain things more than others. I was the best A student and still completely depressed, hopeless, meaningless, you know, doing everything right, but still, but no happiness.
Mm.
So now it is like the path is actually to create a world and to like pave way and encourage others to live in an intuitive way that is not based on trying to please other people, that is not based on performing or pressure or demands from the system, but actually to share their gifts in a way and where it comes from the soul, where it's inspired, because then the energy is going to flow, and that's efficiency. That's spiritual efficiency when we all, as nodes in a network of life, share what we're actually supposed to be channeling, and we're not stuck in a job where we're doing something that we hate, because that's inefficient, and that's like showing up for that work even if you hate it and it sucks and it drains your energy. That's going to affect your family, it's going to affect everybody else in a negative way. So to give more opportunities for the actual gift to be shared so that the energy can flow and there will be an abundance and overflow. And we just like distributed the resources from the gathering, and, you know, we're able to give to everybody that like contributed, and that feels really good. And yeah.
It's beautiful because it's the choice, right? We always get the choice, and we you were talking about, you knew as a child that you were a guide, and we forget, right? Because life gets piled on, and we bring meaning to whatever happens, and that meaning is not hardly ever positive, right? So we bring all this gunk into this pure vessel that we are when we are born, which is just so amazing, because then we have to undo a lot of that later on in life and choose. And we always have a choice, right? Do we stay? Do we go? Right? Or how do we stay? And that's our choice. And thank you for choosing contribution. Thank you for choosing love. Thank you for choosing you, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we all have a choice in each moment to choose, to decide And decide is actually like D is to neutralize, right? And side comes from the word kill or to die. So we all have an ability to decide to unkill ourselves. And in that way, we can decide on what is life promoting, as opposed to what is life destructing.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, because it's also like, what are we going to let die?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because
What
something
are
needs
we going to
to
let die?
die.
Right? Something needs to die.
Mhm.
At every crossroads, something needs to die. What are we going to let die?
Yeah, everything that's in the past, right, is what we let die. And then we are creating something new. And we take what works with us, right? The pure energies, the good energies, and the lessons, the blessings from the hardships. We bring those with us into the new world. And the new world can look like just like a new rising sun. It can look like also a world where we're all a little bit more connected, to nature, and a world where we're all choosing in a way that might be more harmonious than the way that it's been. And in each moment, we have that ability to choose to some degree. And it's not like a pressure thing, like you need to choose, because it's not about that. It can get overwhelming to think like you need to choose everything in life and need to transform your whole life right away. And it's not really about that either. It's about taking the steps. So I'm climbing a lot of mountains in Peru, in the Andes. It's the same way in life too. We need to take our steps up the mountain and to keep it simple, I believe, to keep it simple and to, as to not overwhelm ourselves and in that way deplete ourselves. And that's what a lot of people do in our society, because there are a lot of expectations and pressure to perform and to do things, even though the energy might not be there. So the way that I see it is like in Sweden, for example, in the north, people are expected to work 8 hours a day, like every week, the year, except for the holidays. And even if it's, regardless of whether it is 20 hours of sunlight or just 4 hours of sunlight. And the sun brings the energy. So like no wonder there's a lot of people that burn out as well when you're expected to do these things. And yeah, and there are like a lot of new ways of life presenting themselves now. So this is what's really beautiful about what's happening in the world. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. So tell us about a time you took a chance on love. And it doesn't have to be romantic love, but it can be.
Time when I took a chance on love. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, well, I mean, I can tell you about the first breathwork modality I did was called Breath of Love. So it just felt very relevant. So the Breath of Love, that I found that through a newsletter, and this was like the year after I moved out of my parents' home and I felt safe for the first time in my life. And I had a lot of experiences and I was able to work on myself and like learned a lot, like life coaching and all these things. And then breathwork just dropped into my inbox and I tried, because I feel like that's the channel for me, is to guide meditations and things like that. So tried to start a meditation group, Stockholm University, and one guy showed up maybe 3 times, and then I don't remember what happened, but I kind of stopped it. And then I found this, okay, breath of love. It's like breath work. I don't know what it is. I never tried it, but it feels really good. And so I'm just gonna go for it. I was in that space of probably, yeah, I was listening to a lot of motivational speaking and, really feeling like, okay, I just need to choose with my soul. And, I was really like in that motivated space. And so it was just like, just follow your intuition. So I was like, okay, I mean, it's $12,000, but that's okay. You don't need to think about that. So I just signed up for the Breath of Love certification 1 year training based in California, but online. And yeah, and that's what I did. I ended up doing that. And then a year from there, and that's the first time, I guess, in the breath work I did have breath work actually wasn't really my medicine, but it was medicine for a lot of other people and I was able to share it with people. So I had a vessel to share the breath of love with, which then I changed the name to Breath of Life. And that's the name of my vessel or company, and my vision for the breath of life. Yeah, this is like, the masculine, feminine. So I see it more as the breath of life, the spirit of life. And that's because I was afraid what my teacher would think of me if I named it breath of love. If I named my thing breath of love. It's like I gotta come up with something. I don't know if I was afraid of it, but yeah, I was afraid of it. And yeah, and then the name Breath of Life just came to me. Not because of the fear, but because it was like it just came to me, and it just felt correct. So no, this is what happened. Now I remember. There was another woman in Sweden, and she was doing breathwork workshops. So I've been doing it for a few months, for almost a year, and then she writes me out of the blue, and she says, Sophia Magdalena was her name, and she says like, so my name, the name of my company is Love's Breath, and you're hosting workshops in Breath of Love. I've been working here for 4 years. What do you want to do about this? You just came here. So I was like, let's collaborate. Let's not let that prevent this work from being shared, but let's do something together. So we met and we hosted a course together called The Breath of Love. And so we had like a 8 week or whatever it was, 10 week breathwork training. And this was like 8 years ago. And yeah, that's what happened. So I took a chance on love. Yeah, and it ended up being a collaboration, and it was, it had a lot of room for improvement, and I was not like, I would say I was still I was still having a lot of personal challenges, so I was not properly equipped to hold that space in a really good way. But yeah, still a really valuable lesson, and I think that the principle was really beautiful, to share that. So
I love the spirit of collaboration that you seem to bring to life between your qigong and Andean shamanic work, and it's just this beautiful. I don't know. It's just beautiful. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, like this isn't you. It seems to be woven through this entire podcast. This collaborative theme, really
mm,
beautiful. Mm.
So, if you had a magic wand and you could give people any quality, what would it be and why?
if I could get people inequality, or if I,
If you had a magic wand, the
yes,
fairies have a magic wand, and you could give people any quality,
mm,
what would it be and why?
if I could give people inequality, so I could give, and that would mean all people or just a few people? All
All
people.
people.
Ah, that's a really good question. Profound. I would give the magic wand. I would give people the quality to be able to see karmic balance of their actions,
Mm.
um, in a way that's aligned and helps everybody realize that what we do affects not just ourselves, but everybody else, and that every action matters, that there's nobody that is like too small to do something big or like things like that, or like, but every thought matters. For in the traditions, like Indian traditions, it's like the South American and the North American traditions, it affects generations, past 7 generations, the future 7 generations. All of your relatives are affected by your actions. So I would just like help people see that every action has an effect, every thought has an effect, and that maybe there would be a way to view the karmic effect of like an action that is life positive, an action that like brings nourishment to somebody or that brings benefit to life, and view how that comes back. And then there would be a ripple, and where you would see like, okay, what happens if I do this? Like, and that's like an action that's manipulative or greedy or things like that, and what would be the effects? And it's not like there are, it's not necessarily either like black or white, like, oh, there's this good actions, there's these bad actions. Every action has so many effects, but I think it would be really, it would create a very conscious world if people realize that some actions, that the actions that, when you treat somebody else negatively, or even when you think about somebody else negatively, it's affecting you negatively. I think for people to just so fully see that light world is a mirror, and that there's karmic consequences to all our actions, and that there's a way to live in Aini, in sacred reciprocity. The word in Quechua, the Incas, Aini, sacred reciprocity, and Aini means love you in Chinese. There are actions which bring sacred reciprocity with life, which bring harmony to life, and that when you benefit others, you get benefit.
Mm.
And it's not always like that, because sometimes maybe you're trying to bring benefit to people from a place of trying to please them, or like feeling like you're not good enough.
Mm.
And then I don't know how much value you get, because one is coming from a place of disempowerment, and that's felt in the field. There's no lie. There's no energy, there's no thought that you can hide from life, that you can hide from Great Spirit, that you can hide from the cats. There's cat here. Or the people that you think about. They will feel your energy. And the more in tune somebody is, the more they will be either repelled or drawn to you, based on what you think. So just like to create that awareness. Yeah.
So I just have this beautiful image now of these like lights going on as like you can see your karma. This would be my favorite answer yet to this question, and we've had lots of great answers, but I am kind of tripping out by the idea of that you could have this like little lights going on, positive, negative. I don't know. I am in love with this answer. Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
And that people get to see at the same time, yes, there's no good or bad, right? It has consequences. Everything has consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes we need, like, I remember way back when a healer saying, he is here, he chose this life in this way for all of you to learn, right? So it's actually a good thing, right? In the challenge that we're sitting in relating to that one person. But yeah, if we could see the effect of what we do has on others, is just
And on
quite,
ourselves. Yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it would have to be kind of a little bit thought through maybe, but I have a great trust that things
no, I
orchestrate.
think
Well,
it's a brilliant idea. It's like, oh yeah, wow, like the possibility of it, sitting it in it and
well, and I
thinking
think
about it.
on another level, since we're energy, everything's energy, it's almost like the clearer you get in learning to listen to what you're truly feeling and what's the energy around you, you almost can truly start feeling it. It's just an awareness on a whole nother level that none of us are really
Mm.
operating
Yeah,
at.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
possible. Like, I
So
think that's what's
powerful.
really tripping out my brain, right? Like, I could actually,
It's possible, right?
yes,
I'm
yes,
sure we could. Yeah, I'm sure that's possible. That'd be very cool
yeah.
to have that. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, we have to
Well,
get to work,
if
Sebastian.
if you can dream it, you can do it. So it is possible. If you
Yeah.
dream of it, you can. As long as you do your work, you can get there. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think the only potential like uh thing that could happen with that is like that people would just sit and like do their simulations all day and not actually take action, like in a computer game. But the whole point is that
Well,
you have to actually
but the,
well,
that's
Take
possible with
action as well.
everything, right? That's possible with the yogi that goes to the mountain to meditate and spends his whole life meditating, right? That's what I love about Thich Nhat Hanh. It's all like, what do you do before you're enlightened? You chop wood, you carry water, and after you're enlightened, you chop wood and carry water, right? It's you do the same thing. It's just, you know, in a different
Being
mindset.
from a different perspective,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Sebastian, last question. What is the legacy you want to leave? What do you want people to remember about you?
I definitely want to leave a legacy of love, of light, could say, but the main thing is that I want to create and build be part of building as many communities, self-sustainable communities as possible, and including like a new way of schooling, a new way of education that is more nature-based, that is more intuition-based, and that owns everybody's soul skills of like, what do I actually love to do, and what qualities can I cultivate to share them with the world. And yeah, for people to get to do that, but in a modern way, you know, have the old kind of apprenticeship system, but like, oh, okay, I get to leave real life experience and also get to design their life, like what do I want with my life, and to actually start taking action, you know, and that includes in the process of initiation too. But this is the one of the visions for Breath of Life, which is the name of the school of the company where in which I'm sharing these events. So and this event is called the Circle of Life. So the one that we just had, and I feel that that's the new way of leadership, which if you ask me how I want to be remembered, it's like a new way of leadership that is kind of like that is humble and that is empowering for others, and that is actually just lifting and encouraging leadership in the circle. So moving from the old system of hierarchy and dictatorship and into a thriving kind of ecosystem where every part brings abundance to the whole. That is like with our internal world, every part just needs to find the right function, and you bring the loyal soldiers, all the inner parts that have been to war, that have been in conflict and trauma, you bring them home, you give them a new task. If you're hyper vigilant, we'll just be hyper vigilant of the breath. And how we can, you know, improve the current situation. And so, yeah, so essentially to be remembered as a man of that quality of God, of great spirits, of connection, that, and I don't really care so much what people will think about me. I think what is important is the benefit that I am able to bring to this world while I am here, and with the actions that I take, and how I can inspire other people to also take the actions that may seem scary, and you know, but the soul knows like this is what you're supposed to do, and then to just actually just do it, because yeah, it's like the quote where you cannot be perfect if you don't start. You have to take the first step, and then the perfection will unfold. But if you stay stuck in the thoughts and in the simulation, in the stories, then it is likely that you will never be perfect, because the mind will create more and more obstructions to why it can't happen. So my recommendation is just to do it, like in the Nike commercials, but not just anything, you know, don't do stupid shit, but like, you know, really, yeah, consider what it is that you're really here to do, what you really is your edge, what you're really excited to do, what really benefits other people, you know, with the ikigai, like, where is it like that you have a soul gift, something you love to do, you're good at it, and people benefit from it? What is that? And what can you do today to just take one step toward that?
I love, well, of course, I love everything that will talk about alternative ways of educating, because it's, I believe that school has been created after a model that does not serve the individual, but just society. And society is not really, like, it doesn't serve the child, it serves a concept. But I also love the idea of leadership. For me, it's more like a guide that walks along with you. And sometimes you're the guide, and sometimes I'm the guide.
Yeah,
And we're
exactly.
walking next to each other, and we're learning from each other and growing with each other, rather than I know best and you better follow me. Um, it's like, yeah, can we get an alternative to that? Can we
Mm,
get a different concept of what it means to be, I actually make a distinction between leadership and management. And management is more manipulation, intimidation, and leadership is really a guide, a person that walks next to you. So, yeah.
yes, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, bring it on, please.
Yes,
So,
collective leadership. And
yes.
ultimately, yeah, the degree of where we cultivate the degree of awareness that we can honor, everybody and kind of find a way to synergize in a way that kind of we can transcend a lot of the things that are problems, like there are, I mean, like things like poverty and hunger and things. There's an abundance of food,
Mhm.
over an abundance of money. Like there's an abundance of everything that we need to be alive for everybody. It's just like the qualities of, maybe greed or things like holding on, scarcity, like the fear of losing things. And you see all this, like there's so much food being thrown away every single day. I mean, I can only imagine, and all the trash and all the things, and just to, yeah, so just be more aware of that. And that's one way, yeah, when we all step into leadership, um that means we all connect to the field of infinite possibilities. And that means that we all honor life that lives itself through us, great spirit, or the spirit of life that animates you as much as me, and that we're all equals in the circle of life, that no one path is more better than any other path, but that we all have our own pathway to power in our lives. We all have our own challenges, initiations we need to go through, and all of it is valid. And it's good that we can respect and honor each other's paths as we walk it together, and understand that that's what the whole game is about.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, please. Yes, please. So, Sebastian, tell us about your business. Tell us how people can find you. It's all going to be in the notes, but just tell our listeners, if if they're inspired by you and want to find out more, how they can find you, how they can connect with you. What do you offer for your business?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have an email, I have a social media website that is under renovation. I think that the best way to connect with me is probably through email, potentially, or like, yeah, something like that, or or social media can also work. So my company name on social media is Breath of Life Stockholm, because Stockholm is where I was born, and it's where, in Sweden, that's where I've been working on this. And there's a lot of churches with the name Breath of Life. So all those domain names occupied. So Breath of Life Stockholm. And Facebook.com/Breath of Life Stockholm, and this sort of thing. And then, yeah, you find
What,
me.
so you don't do breathing though. Do you do breathing, or do you
Yes.
do events, or do you do qigong, or you do everything? All of that, all of
Yes.
the above.
So I have, yes. And specifically right now, I offer containers for empowerment online, which I call the 8 weeks to power. So I had two groups of 11 and 13 people go through. It's like 8 weeks, and we go through a combination of Andean shamanism and QiGong methods, practical methods for purifying the energy, for healing, and all of these things for empowerment, self-empowerment, self-leadership, and establishing those good habits that can impact all the other things in life. And I also offer a container which I call divine safety. So part of my work here is because I had to do a lot of that work myself, because I used to feel like I was in a war zone all the time, and that my whole, all these years has just been like trying to find safety. And the divine safety, it's a container with all of these, methods, and including ceremony. So to create a deep sense of trust, and also to restore, or to fully embody the body, the physical body, to find health and balance in the body, and also to activate kind of what you are here to do, and to start to share it with the world from that place.
I mean,
And
we all,
in-person events as well in Sweden and in Peru. In Peru, also medicine ceremony hikes with Qigong. So plant medicine with Qigong. We walk up in the high mountains of Peru. So you can also write me if you are interested to go on a journey to Peru, because we organize that. And fire ceremonies and breath work and Qigong. But events, now it's more like weekend events. So the next Circle of Life gathering is going to be 18th to 20th of July. And there will be many more gatherings to come. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out Sebastian's social media or reach out to his email. We'll include all that information in the notes for the podcast. You can also find the Linktree information for Martina and myself. Sebastian, thank you so much for being here with us today. It was an absolute pleasure to just be with you. You're just a delight. I just love your energy. I love your calm, strong presence. It was just an absolute honor to be here with you today. Thank you everyone for listening. If you loved this, please leave us a review. Please share with your friends. And please remember, you are extraordinary and you rock. Until next time.
bye for now. Sebastian, you want to close it out for us?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Let's all take a moment to feel our connection to the earth, feel our breath of life, breath of love. And if you like, just allow like a really deep inhale, allow it to fill the whole body. And then maybe lift the hands up to the sky, up from your shoulders. Just lift up and stretch up and make a sound of victory. Yahoo! We're already there. So my closing words is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're in the perfect place. And if you are in a place of challenge and struggle, that challenge and struggle is exactly what can shape you to become who you are meant to be and who you really are. And when we are connected to our soul, we all know that, and then we forget, and you will remember. And if you remember, congratulations. And then we are already here, and we're co-creating heaven on earth together. A world of beauty, of harmony. In the Inca prophecy, we are in the time of the Taripay Pacha, or the Pachacuti, the time of returning home to ourselves, to our vessels, and returning to what is true. It is the time of the meeting of the condor and the eagle in the Lakota prophecy. The heart and the mind are once again connected. It is the time of unification of all the different nations, creeds, and colors. According to the rainbow prophecy, the warriors of the rainbow are reunited, and that the world can turn green again and continue to remain in the colors of life, in all the colors of life. So yeah, take care of yourself and all of life around you.